Scott, welcome to India again.
Thank you.
I think you should just shift to India. The number of
Should I just move here?
Yes, I think you should just relocate. And welcome Narendra too.
Thank you.
We heard yesterday, Rajan was here, he was there for the closing note, and he said, you know, no matter what kind of fintechs come around the world, they can't beat the fintechs in India. We are just the best. That is his statement, and Paytm has been the leader. I was just looking at the stats. We have done 19 billion transactions on UPI on a monthly basis, and roughly about 25 lakh crores. I don't even know how many zeros are there. That's the kind of transaction that has flown through the UPI system. Clearly, we know how to do scale. But I think given everything that's happening in the AI world, speed is going to be a differentiator for real-time AI, right? And in Paytm, you've pioneered everything related to fintech. And one admission, I don't use Paytm, but every time I pay the Uber cab driver, I'm like, Paytm karu, which means that should I Paytm it? So Narendra, tell us like what are the innovations that Paytm is doing? And in the fintech space, what does real-time AI, like what are some of the use cases for real-time AI?
So thank you. In payments, payment has to be real-time. That was the base expectation. It is already real-time. So it was that what are the use cases that can become even better by using AI? So maybe last year or last year, AI started at the back end, which was that developers started using it. AI was a tool for cost optimization, cost efficiency, all operations, product development, tech development, everything can be done more optimally using AI tools. The way it is changing now is that from backend, it is moving to front layer. The way, we launched AI Soundbox a couple of days ago, where merchants are able to kind of experience AI through their Soundbox. And now the way it is changing is that merchant is able to use in ways that we did not even think. It is able to get all kinds of analysis on the payments that merchant has been receiving for the day, for the month, how is his business doing, how is he doing compared to similar shops in the vicinity, what are the products that are selling fast. So the scope is huge. We have realized one very interesting use case that we found some merchants who have enrolled for the pilot program is that they are using it for language translation, which is customer is coming, a tourist is coming on the shop. The tourist is speaking maybe in Spanish and a merchant is speaking in Hindi, but both are able to interact. So the big change that is happening is that most of these experiences on the client side are changing for merchants, for consumers. Yesterday we had an event where we talked about how people are using Paytm travel by using, the new interface that we have given where they are able to kind of search much more optimally compared to previous.
And any impact numbers, any data that you can share with us from early results?
The scale at which Paytm has been operating is huge. We settle over, $20 billion of merchant payments every month. This is only for merchant payments, does not include peer-to-peer payments. Practically, AI is touching each of these transactions multiple times in that process. So fraud, risk assessment is happening on the flow. There is something that is getting utilized there. There is, on the interface layer, there is utilization that is happening. So while, related to AI, what I can say is that whatever numbers we have been projecting or estimating that we will need this kind of inference volume, all those numbers are becoming that it was, still a small estimation. And that is the reason that, we have just entered in a deal with Groq to kind of do away with all those estimations, because we realized that overall usage of AI inference is going to be huge.
And congratulations for the partnership. Can you tell for the audience, because for everyone, what does inference really mean? Both of you, so that we can...
Yeah. Do you want to take this one? So, so inference, I think most people in the audience probably know this. They probably heard about this for the last couple days. But just in case, it's the computation. It's the work to take what you type into the model and turn it into an output. So you talk to ChatGPT or Gemini or any of these other tools. All of that is the inference. That's the computation that's happening. And when you hear about all these infrastructure build-outs that are happening around the world, from the hyperscalers and locally in countries here, like India here or around the world, they're all investing in infrastructure, which is data centers, GPUs and alternatives, cooling, in order to process all of these queries. And if you've ever had this experience where you type in your requests, create a picture for me, or you type in some kind of prompt and you don't get a response back instantly, that's the system queuing. It doesn't have enough capacity to actually respond to you. And so this is the race that the world's in right now, and nations are in, is to build as much capacity as possible in order to do this work of inference. And we think of it at Groq like electricity. It's become a critical utility, and it's going to only become more and more critical. And if you don't have enough of it, you can't actually have a functioning society. So inference is like electricity, it's like water. That's going to be the future that we're building for.
Interesting. And Scott, you have the vantage point of looking at what's happening in the Asian markets, right? We spoke about scale. $20 million transactions equals to about 180 crores a month. India is known for scale ecosystems, and every time you look at scale, there is a trade-off between latency, cost, and reliability. What are some of the other markets in Asia, India-like markets, what are they doing to address this?
So just to give you a couple of numbers, so at Groq, we have 2.5 million developers who use the platform. Half of those are in Asia, and a huge number of those are in India. I think we have close to 500,000 developers just in India alone, but they're really everywhere. And so we spend a lot of time in major markets across Asia. And I think one thing I can say is true of all markets is no one has enough compute. I don't go anywhere where people say, oh, I've got enough, or it's fast enough, or it's cheap enough. The state-of-the-art AI models that are produced by, say, the Western labs, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, none of them run in Asia. Not any of the really cutting-edge state-of-the-art models, because there's just not enough compute around the world to actually host those models. And so I think there is a significant compute shortage around Asia, but I see people building everywhere, regardless, and they're all struggling with the same issues. They're trying to build voice bots for customer service, but it's just a bit too expensive, or they're trying to build some agentic workflow or some other productivity improvement, but it's just a bit too slow. And so there's a lot of wins and a lot of achievements, but I think a lot of people are still frustrated. It's just not quite fast enough or not quite cheap enough.
Got it. Jonathan has been talking about, bringing the cost of inference to almost zero. What does this really mean for developers and builders?
Yeah, so our founder and CEO, Jonathan Ross, he was the person who invented the TPU at Google, the chip that Google uses for AI. He actually left Google because when he was there, he was working on the TPU program. They were building subsequent generations, and it was getting more expensive, which he thought was a bit crazy. It shouldn't get cheaper. And so he left to create Groq in order to create a different type of technology that would lower the cost. And we've made good progress. We think we're significantly cheaper than the most options on the market, but we have a long way to go. And I think it all hinges on what Jonathan likes to quote as Jevons paradox. If we can lower the price substantially enough, consumption will increase. And I think we saw this in a way with Google search. It was a free search. It was extremely fast, and consumption went through the roof. That's one example. So we're making a lot of progress, but it's not easy. Because, there's sheer physics problems here. You have to make a lot of chips. You have to cool them. You need water. You need power. We need cheaper renewables. We need cheaper data centers. The entire stack from the land to the data centers to the chips to the software. We have to find optimizations at every level of that stack. But if you look back at the last few years, the token prices have dropped dramatically. And I think everyone who has forecasted what the price drops would be have probably underestimated it. So I'm very hopeful that I think we're actually building in the right direction, and the prices will just keep falling.
And I have seen the Groq demo. So in terms of addressing speed, you have cracked the code, right? You're ahead of the market and all. But when it comes to India specifically, can you talk a little bit about the cost and the latency? Because you still don't have a data center here in India.
That's right. Coming
Yes.
soon. Coming soon. Well, I think it's interesting. In India, you have two groups of builders: people that are building for the world, and they're serving markets outside of India, and then people building in India. And we work with both. And I think that people building for the world, they need distributed infrastructure all over the world. And so we've deployed in 13 data centers this year around the world, 6 countries. Next year, I think those numbers will go up dramatically. And so I think that global distributed network is part of the solution. But here domestically in India, I don't think there's enough physical infrastructure. I do hear this complaint a lot, that people are having to ship their workloads outside the country. So we do want to build domestically here. We think the demand is absolutely here. There's massive renewable projects in India, which are really exciting. So I think in the medium term, I think India is actually really well positioned to have enormous amounts of compute infrastructure, which I think will be a massive, massive strategic advantage for India compared to a lot of other countries, including in Asia, where they don't have the land, they don't have the space and the power projects in order to build the same amount of compute.
Interesting. Narendra, since you've partnered with Groq, I wanted your perspective because you have these, the sound box for the merchants that you launched recently. For this to scale, it has to be, commercially a viable thing. So how are you looking at, from POC to productizing everything that you're doing in the AI space? Can you share the thinking process behind it?
So for us, India is a price-sensitive market, and the technology, that AI Soundbox, that we intend to give to smallest of the merchants, hawkers, pawn shops, practically anyone. For that, we had to control the entire value chain, right, from software layer, hardware layer, the chip that will go on, because ultimately this needs to work in offline environment. Also, connectivity may not be so great. So we have just gone into each aspect to control the cost very well. The second stream of work has been on how this can improve the service level for the merchant, how they can start using to grow their business, so that it does not necessarily become that we are providing a higher cost machine to someone who is not able to use that to grow his business. And the objective is that they will be able to use it for payments, for AI support for their business, AI support for their marketing, intelligence, and for that they will be willing to pay more. They will be able to, there may be freemium model, etc. So that is how it will be managed. And what we have seen is that if there is enough value that is provided, merchants are willing to pay. This happened with Soundbox also, because when Soundbox came, many people said that it is just, that notification can come on mobile phone also. What is the need of Soundbox? But we realized, there are, we ourselves have deployed more than 11, 12 million Soundboxes. So I think the same thing will happen in this AI Soundbox also. So it will become something like this, that now when you say phone, it means a smartphone. You add feature as a prefix to refer to the old age phones, feature phones. So now AI Soundbox will become the Soundbox, and it will be something like feature Soundbox or some prefix. So that is how it is going to move.
Great. I'm going to ask you a very difficult question. Groq is fairly new in India, right? Like, not heard of, not many people even know about Groq, especially people who are not in the AI space. And the thing is that when you're going into a partnership with somebody who's still a startup versus some of the listed global multinational companies, like, how did you decide to go with Groq, and why did you decide to go with Groq?
Multiple things. Groq, the intention of Scott and team to expand in India, the technology is great. It suited all our requirements that we wanted to serve. As they say that it's fast inference at the cheapest, at the most economical cost. So all these factors work for us. The thing is that we have been working and investing in AI since very long, similar to the way we invested in data science, machine learning, etc., prior to anyone else in the space started doing it. So while Groq may be a new name for many of us in India, we have been, following their journey from the very beginning. The work that Jonathan has done, the team has done. So that is, they became the natural choice for us.
And can you tell us a little bit about what is the partnership that you've done with Groq for the others to learn in terms of if they need to partner with Groq?
So as Scott mentioned, most of us are going to use the inference part of AI. There are companies that will be training models, that will be giving models. There will be a fine-tuning component, and then there is inference component where we are going to use it for real-life use cases. So the partnership is that we are going to use inference, Groq inference for our own use case, for our own associate companies, merchants, etc. So that is the partnership. And there, we are going to work together to find out more use cases. We are going to develop our own models, and those will also be hosted on Groq.
Great. Can you share one or two use cases which are cooking in the kitchen right now?
Various use cases. Soundbox is in public. We are very, very excited about that use case for merchants because, this will be a large-scale use case where everyone starts using it. Practically every shopkeeper is using the power of AI for growing his or her business. The second use case is related to when consumers are maybe searching for, say, travel options on Paytm. That search itself, while it is efficient, it is not that great experience. Based on users' information that Paytm already has, it will be able to suggest the itinerary, the kind of flight options, etc. that can be there. When it comes to another thing that we have been working is that all transactions that happen on Paytm, they go through a real-time fraud check. So that transaction can be stopped in midway itself if we find anything that is abnormal. So those things are going to become even more efficient. There will be less false positives. And that makes a lot of difference because the number of transactions that are happening, the false positives need to really go down. At the same time, the efficiency of that risk system has to be high enough. Another use case that we are very bullish on is related to credit dispersal, where we can use the data that, based on which we can say that this person should be given this amount of loan, which based on other data sets, the person is not able to get loan. And how to analyze that data, how to ensure that we can use more and more alternate data points so that more people become eligible for loan. So there are multiple of these things that are happening. And these are more on client side. When it comes to backend, practically all aspects are getting updated, which is operations, product development, risk management, all the client side features, etc.
Brilliant. Scott, you again coming back to the Asia example, right? Like there is a lot of governance policies around the usage of AI, and we need that. Are there one or two examples that we can learn from the other countries? And also, especially working in some of the real-time AI scenarios are very apt in regulated industries like financial services. Any learnings from the Asian market that we can incorporate in India?
Unfortunately, I don't think anyone's doing this very well. I think everyone knows that they need some form of regulation, and every country is experimenting with it. Some are taking a bit more chaotic approaches, like the US. Others are maybe a bit more structured. I think what's important is there's a lot of existing regulation at an industry level and at national levels that apply to AI. I don't think that we need to have regulation, like some of the safety regulation that's been proposed in some countries. I think that is more of a break and it's more of regulatory capture than it is actually solving a real acute problem that isn't already covered by many industry regulations. So I think we have to be really thoughtful about what you want to, I think nations need to be very thoughtful what to implement to avoid slowing down or hindering the local development of AI at their country. And so I don't see any standouts. I do think that the privacy regulation is going to get stricter, and the sovereignty rules are going to get tighter to ensure that the workloads stay in country, which I think is part of a broader dislocation, or as someone said to me this week, the security of everything. So countries want to make sure that they have the security of food, energy, AI, compute. And so I think there's going to be a lot of inefficiencies created, but a lot of opportunity. That's going to prop up a lot of national champions in this space around AI. So you can take some of it good, some of it bad, neutral, and others. It's happening at different paces in different places. For financial services specifically, I do think that there's outliers like Paytm who have been very, very sophisticated, and we've been very impressed about the breadth of applications that they have, versus when I go to some banks, legacy banks in countries in Asia, and they barely can spell AI. And so it is really a wide gap. I do think broadly the themes of use cases are very, very similar across banking. I think what's going to set people apart is who's willing to get it in front of the customer first, and who's going to have the guardrails in place and the internal governance to get these applications in front of real users and out of just this pilot and POCing phase that a lot of people are stuck in.
It's just brilliant what Groq is doing, and especially given that India can be the inferencing market for the globe. Groq is enabling that, so it's fantastic. I have the timer. Time is up, but one last question to both of you. What does 2026, I'm not going very far in future. None of us can predict what's going to happen with respect to AI, but what do you think 2026 looks like from the world of AI?
This is a very specific example, but I really think 2026 will be the year generative video takes over, and we see it everywhere. In marketing, ads, gaming, social media. It's already there a little bit, but I think next year that is going to be front and center, and it's going to cause a lot of problems, and it's going to be really exciting at the same time.
Excellent. Narendra?
I think, if I talk about fintech, the line between payment and commerce is going to blur. People who are providing one service will get into another service very naturally, because it will become just an extension because of the way AI is getting used. The second thing is that there will be more and more client-side AI applications that will come up, because of which the expectations of consumers are going to become very different from what they have been till now. So there will be a lot of change that we foresee.
I was hoping 2026 Groq data center is in India. That's
that one
what
too.
Yes. Thank you very much. I know we are on time, but thank you for sharing those insights.